to the Slyphor channel with another cracker pack with a drawing at the end. One of my concept art pieces at the end, alt-arting the pick of the pack. Another pack of Battle for Zendikar here, which I will get straight into. If I can get straight into it. I will also, while I'm trying to crack open this pack that's being tricky, I will also, sorry, it's holding it at a weird angle. It's being annoying. It does not want to open. Aha! I managed to get a rip along the bottom. Not how I particularly wanted to open it, but it will do. So yeah, a quick mention to last video where it was very weird because I tried to do the whole concept drawing and I sped it all up for you all to see, and then when I went to go and upload it, it ended up being an hour-long video and took 3,000 minutes to try and upload. So I had to sit and wait, and YouTube just kept not letting me upload it all because my internet kept going off and then back on and then off and then back on quicker than 3,000 minutes. So yeah, it ended up taking a while. But we'll get straight into this pack, and I will probably be doing it that I will continue my kind of little talk through the pack and what I think about the cards, and then I will just show the finished alt art at the end as like a picture, rather than try and speed up and show the whole drawing process, because that didn't particularly work as well as I hoped, and my upload time wasn't having any of it. So unfortunately, showing you my drawing and concept art will have to be reserved for things like live streams, or live streams basically, if anyone wants to see it on the live streams, if I can get back into doing live streams, that is. But yeah, so we'll crack straight into this pack with the Territorial Barloth, a 4/4 for 5, 4 and a green, for a creature, beast. I don't think beast is particularly relevant in this format, for standard anyway, but beast is a good commander subset. What is important is landfall, and whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, Territorial Barloth gets +2/+2 until end of turn. So you can make him a 6/6 just by dropping a land on your turn, or if you do something like a fetch or an evolving wild, so you can become an 8/8 till end of turn. There's also various ways that you can just bring a land into the battlefield with a spell. So he could quite easily become a 10/10, 12/12 or bigger. Next we have one of the Awaken cards. 1 blue, Clutch of Currents is a sorcery, and it returns target creature to its owner's hand. But with Awaken 3, you can instead cast it for 4 and a blue, and if you do, you not only return target creature to its owner's hand, you can put 3 +1/+1 counters on a land you control, and it becomes a 0/0 elemental creature that's still a land and has haste. So you can turn one of your lands into a 3/3 creature, good for blocking little things. A 3/3 creature can deal quite a bit of damage if it can get through, and it's still a land, so it doesn't destroy your land base by doing this, which is good. Awaken is possibly one of my favourite mechanics from this new set, because it's just really good, and elemental is a really strong thing in standard. So yeah, that's Clutch of Currents. We then have Sure Strike, a 2-drop combat trick in red, so 1 and a red, instant. Target creature gets +3/+0 and gains first strike until end of turn. So this is pretty much intended to go in a Zada Hedron grinder deck, where you have lots of little creatures, and then you go, okay, I play this combat trick which targets Zada, and he makes it target everyone. So all of your creatures will get +3/+0 and gain first strike for 2 mana, which is pretty good. We then have a Kitesail Scout For 1 and a white, it's a 1/1 flyer, creature, core scout. Fairly simple. Cores are less relevant than they were in original Zendikar, but there's still a few of them. They more trigger off the whole ally aspect than being cores and using things like equipment and things like they did in original Zendikar. I mean, they still used ally in original Zendikar and it was still the best, but they had a little bit of synergy for cores as well. We then have a Geyserfield Stalker, 4 and a black, for a 3/2 elemental, which is relevant, with Menace, which is one of the new key mechanics that was introduced in Origins, which means they have to be multi-blocked by 2 or more creatures, and Landfall, to give it a +2/+2 to end of turn, similarly to the Territorial Barloth that we saw earlier, except it's an elemental, which is good. It's a little bit weaker, but it also has Menace, so I'd say it's still pretty good. Still roughly the same level. We then have lots of landfall in this deck. A Snapping Gnarlid. For 1 and a green, it's a 2/2 beast, and with landfall, whenever a land enters, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So it turns into a 3/3, 4/4, and so on. Obviously, it reconfigures back to a 2/2 when you change the turn. So yeah, it's pretty good. We then have an Evolving Wilds, one of the things I was talking about to trigger multiple landfalls. So the way Evolving Wilds works is you play it and it's a land, which will trigger all your landfalls. Then it has an ability where you can tap it and sacrifice it to go searching for a basic land to put onto a battlefield. So that basic land that you fetch and search for enters the battlefield and triggers all your landfalls again. So you can play this, crack it, and drop a basic land in the same turn, getting you 2 landfall triggers on all of your creatures that have landfall. So it's pretty good. We then have our first Eldrazi for the pack, Eldrazi's Sky Spawner, 2 and a blue, for a 2/1 Eldrazi drone creature. It has Devoid, which makes it colourless. It has Flying, so that's pretty good. It's an evasion-based piker. Not quite a piker, because obviously it costs 3, not 2. But it also, when it enters the battlefield, you get a 1/1 colourless Eldrazi Scion creature token. And the Scion creature tokens are similar to the Scion spawn tokens from original Zendikar, original Eldrazi and things like that, where they were 0/1s that could be sacrificed for 1 mana, but these are 1/1s instead. So you can still use them as mana, you can use them as chump blockers, you can use them as just 1/1 tokens that start swinging in and getting some damage in. Then we have a Hedron Blade, our first equipment for the set. It's a 1-drop. The artifact equipment, it equips for 2, which equip is you can put it on a creature like an aura, and you can still move it around as long as it's sorcery speed by paying its equip cost repeatedly. The equipped creature gets +1/+1, and whenever equipped creature becomes blocked by 1 or more colourless creatures, it gains Death Touch until end of turn. So that's pretty good for a quite cheap drop if you're fighting Eldrazi decks, which are all colourless. You can block, or you can swing in if it gets blocked by things, then you can just Death Touch them all. If your thing has First Strike, then it'll make it really good, except we're First Striking Death Toucher, which means you get to kill off your opponents and keep your creature unless they've blocked with more creatures than you have power on your creature, and then still have enough to kill it. So it's really good in certain decks. It could be very useful to build around. We then have Angel of Renewal, our first uncommon for this pack. It's 5 and a white for a creature angel ally, flying 4/4. Whenever it enters the battlefield, you gain a +1 life for each creature you control. So, allies. It could gain you a lot of life late game. It's pretty good. I'm fairly certain we had one in our last pack. Yeah, into my Angel collection it goes. We then have a Spawning Bed, the Eldrazi land, or the Eldrazi based land. It's not actually an Eldrazi, but it is a land. It can tap for a colourless, or for 6 and tap and sacrifice it. You can put 3 Eldrazi Scion tokens onto the battlefield. And as I mentioned before, the Eldrazi Scion tokens are colourless 1/1 Eldrazi Scions that can be sacrificed to add 1 colourless mana to your mana pool. So this is decent to crack mid-game and then get the mana up to drop something big, basically. Like the Breaker of Armies. Did we have this guy before? He's an 8-drop creature Eldrazi. All creatures able to block Breaker of Armies do so, and he's a 10/8, one of the big titans. And I think the next one should be our rare. Yep, it's a Fathom Feeder, another Eldrazi. So the first half of the pack was very landfall heavy, the second half very Eldrazi heavy. And the creature Eldrazi Drone for a black and blue is a 1/1, Devoid, Death Touch, Ingest. And it also has the rule that for 3 blue and black, you draw a card, and each opponent exiles the top card of his or her library. This is really good in an Eldrazi Sultai or Dimir or Grixis coloured Eldrazi deck. A 1/1 Death Toucher means people are unlikely to block it. They might if they need to, and its ability might make them more likely to try and kill it off quickly, because they probably don't want you being able to do that late game and just be like, yeah, I'm just going to keep drawing cards and making you mill your or exile your library. And it also has Ingest, which means whenever it hits them, it does the same. It makes them exile the top card of their library. So this is a really good card for utilising the Ingest ability to get your processes up. So it's a really good card. We then have a foil Outnumber, which is a red instant. For a single red, Outnumber deals damage to target creature equals the number of creatures you control. Sounds pretty good. It looks kind of nice in foil. We then have a full art Swamp, which looks real nice, and no token. But that's okay, because we got a land, we got a foil, and we got a good rare. So if I don't include the rare, obviously the Angel is probably my favourite, but as a pick of the pack, it's a tough choice. So there's a good deal of landfall. There's the the Zada combat trick, which probably isn't, the 1/1 core isn't that amazing. Evolving Wilds probably isn't worthwhile. I can't pick my rare. The lands are okay but not amazing. So we are down to a few of each thing. And I think my pick of the pack is probably the Clutch of Currents. As a 1 blue, I know it's sorcery speed, but you can awaken it, you can get your creature out, you can bounce a thing, which is good, especially for 1. So it's either a 1-drop bounce or a 5-drop bounce on a stick, and quite a big stick at that. So this is probably my pick of the pack, that I will then be alt-arting for you to see right about now.